Yo, what's up fam, and welcome to the channel. This is your boy BrandonRico, and I'm here talking to you about some BeatMaker 3 updates. And here are 5 things that I think may have been overlooked in this update. I told you guys last week that some updates were coming, and they are finally here, but I've been seeing some issues where people feel like they didn't get enough for this update. So I just wanted to explain some of the features of this update and some of the things that I feel like are being taken for granted of this update, as well as why some of these features may be important to you in your workflow. First of all, shout out to the whole beta team. These guys are constantly taking the time out to test these issues and listen to you guys' feedback. It has been noted that there are a wide spectrum of users inside of the beta team, so I most definitely appreciate the fact that there are so many different types of users on the beta team testing for the improvement and the development of this app, as well as some of the developers of these apps. I know that they are paying attention and actually listening to the feedback that we give, so I do encourage you guys to continue to give that solid, concrete feedback. They are listening, and so here are some of the improvements that we have. Okay, so first things first, one of the biggest updates, one of my personal favorites of this update is the actual something that I asked for personally in the live stream. If you haven't seen that, I asked for easier access to the settings menu, and they actually gave it to me right there in the UI. So I don't know if you guys can see, if you guys even noticed it. There's a settings menu right over to the left hand side, and not only did they give us easier access to the settings, but it recalls the last page that you were on. It recalls that, let's say if you were to go out of it, it recalls when you go back, and it goes back to the page that you were last on. So if I was to go to MIDI focus actions, go back here, and then go back to settings, it recalls the exact same page and the exact same thing that you were just doing, things that you were just tweaking, so that you don't have to fish through each menu just to find out what you were looking for. It just recalls that. So that was a pretty good improvement, and I don't really think that I have to explain why that's important, to be able to recall exactly what you were just doing. So yeah, that's the settings, more available to you. So the very next update feature, number 4 on my list, is the background audio. They added the ability to turn background audio on and off. So let's say that you're playing your session, and then you get out of the app, or you turn your iPad on or off. BeatMaker 3 won't continue to run in the background and continue to drain battery. That's what's so important about that particular update, is that a lot of the times I would be in a session and I'm working on the beat, and sometimes I would just flip my iPad closed or something like that, or move from one spot to another, and sometimes I would go throughout the whole day without actually coming back to the iPad and finishing that beat. And then when I finally go back to the iPad to finish the beat, my battery had drained like completely from 100% to like 20%, just by having that audio up in the background just running on its own. So the ability to turn that on and off, that's come in handy for me, because sometimes I like to leave BeatMaker 3 up and not close that session, because I never know when I'm gonna be able to get back into it or not. So it doesn't drain the battery as much. Of course, if you're still using apps like the in-app audio stuff, where you need to step outside of the app to get some other import some other sounds and stuff like that, you can turn it back on and it'll work just as perfectly. So yeah, in the meantime, I'm gonna keep mine off, because yeah, I don't need my battery draining like that. So that was the importance of that update and why I appreciate that part so much. Yeah, save me on my battery. Thank you. So next up on my list is number 3, and these are everything to do with the transport buttons. They have been changed to behave as those of the standards of a regular, standard DAW. So play, pause. They do exactly what they're supposed to do. Play will play from the playhead. If you tap play twice, it'll jump back to the beginning of that track. If you tap stop while you're in the middle of a sequence, it'll stop, and you can see the playhead here. You can see where it stopped. And then you hit stop again and it just pauses it. If you hit stop one more time, once it's already stopped, it'll jump back to the beginning of your sequence. So the transport buttons have been updated to behave like your regular transport buttons would inside of like Logic Pro or Ableton, any of your major flagship DAWs that you use on a desktop or something like that. So yeah, one of the benefits of having these transport controls behave like this is that you can now punch in from the last playhead, position that you were just at. Now you can do audio punching in just like your traditional DAW. So if you wanted to record an audio track and you're recording live audio into it and you messed up on a certain part, you just pause it. You can pick up where you left off, and it'll start right where you left off recording onto that audio track. And speaking of audio recording, you can now monitor your audio during the playback, during the recording. So before we weren't able to monitor the audio input that we were putting into recording into BeatMaker 3, like vocals or I don't know, whatever it was, we couldn't monitor it real time as we were playing it in. We would just have to record what we were doing and hope that it sounds good. Now you can record, monitor, you can hear it in your headphones or in your speakers. You can hear that feedback real time as you record. So the very next thing that I'm super excited about is the overall settings menu and the settings behaviors. So we now have the ability to sync MIDI. It has an internal MIDI clock built into BeatMaker 3, which, if I have to explain to you why that's important, forget it. I'm gonna just explain it anyway. If you have external MIDI controllers, or if you have MIDI applications that require a MIDI clock out communication with BeatMaker 3, you can now have those in sync. It has a built-in MIDI clock output. For instance, you can now use BeatMaker 3 as the conductor of MIDI information to your external DAW, as well as MIDI clock in, MIDI syncing from your external MIDI controller like an MPC or machines from Native Instruments or whatever it is. You can now use those and they can have the same MIDI communication back and forth with each other without any glitches. It's seamless, and yeah, that is a game changer. Of course, we already had the Ableton Link, where the Ableton Link feature was the communicator between the apps. So now you have the MIDI clock out, MIDI clock in, Ableton Link. Yeah, it's just communication amongst all your devices and applications. And the last thing that I wanted to talk about, major feature, and then we're gonna get into some honorable mentions. The last thing is the MIDI import and MIDI export. So what this means is that I can take this whole session and all the information played within this session, take it to a completely different application that handles MIDI information, MIDI inputs from Aftertouch, and all the parameter changes that I've done. All that MIDI information is embedded inside of that application, inside of that file. And I can take it over to Logic or GarageBand or Ableton. I can take it over to any DAW and then open it up and then import whatever sounds that I feel necessary, and just manipulate it in a totally different way. Whatever your sauce is, whatever your flavor is, you can now export that MIDI as well as import MIDI. So if you've already invested into like MIDI packs from your favorite producers, pretty soon I'll be putting out some MIDI packs, and you can take that MIDI information from chords being played. You can use those chords and put your own sounds on top of it, even drum loops and stuff like that. So say you like a certain drum pattern that is doing, but you don't like the instrument that they used, you can import that MIDI information and change the whole drum setup and use your own samples. In the future, I'll be going over how to do all of that stuff and show you how simple and easy it is to use those features, man. And that's pretty much a game changer for me, to be able to import and export MIDI information, those MIDI notes, and that. Oh, it is just, yeah, hands down one of my favorite features, and that's why it's #1 on the list. So a couple of honorable mentions. Like I said, the whole beta team, including myself, have been working really hard to test the beta app before this update was released, and there have been a lot of bugs ironed out. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but I'm still hearing some people talk about crashes and stuff like that. But for the people who have it working, there have been a lot of bugs that have been ironed out. So there was an issue that I noticed with the X Key Air. It wouldn't stay connected if you tap the stop button twice. And the only issue with that, there was a fix for that. And how you fix that is you go into the settings, you go into the MIDI devices, and then you would tap the MIDI output for, you would turn the MIDI output for the X Key Air, you would turn that off, and that would no longer happen. You would have to do that every time you loaded up a new session. Now BeatMaker 3 actually has that, has your preferences saved. So when you do something like that in BeatMaker 3, it remembers those last preferences. So every time you reconnect the X Key Air or any other, MIDI controller that does that, it'll remember your preferences for that. So that was a bug fix that, I can really appreciate, because I hated hitting stop and then having to reconnect my X Key Air every time, and now remembers that I don't want the output devices to be included, the X Key Air to be included on the output device. All right, so another bug fix includes the sample editor and slicing to the pads. Creating a pattern is now fixed with that. So say you slice the sample into like 16 slices, right? And you want to create a pattern from that slice, and you remove slices 3, 5, 9, and 12. So now there's a gap between 1, 2, and then there's a space, and then there's a MIDI information for 4. Those gaps are now respected, and they're now fixed to where they won't show up in your pattern anymore. So I'll include some before and after pictures of before the update. I hope I explained that right. It took me like 4 or 5 times to try to get it explained to me to where yeah, it made sense. But yeah, so now that when you create a pattern from your sliced composition inside the slice mode editor, those gaps are respected. Yeah. Oh yeah, and one more thing before I go. So now when importing a sample onto the beat pads, so what used to happen is when you drag and drop a sample over to the pads, it would load itself at -6 dB. And now that, when you drag and drop a sample, it loads itself by default to 0 dB. So now it plays at the full velocity. So that's been fixed too. So yeah. So those are basically some of the updates for BeatMaker 3 and some of the things I feel like we're taking for granted. A lot of people were complaining about some of the things that we didn't get. And I do want to let you guys know that some more updates are coming. More updates are on the way. Like I said, I encourage you guys to keep pushing, keep being vocal about your update requests and feature requests and bugs and stuff like that. The team is on a daily, hourly hunt for bugs and feature updates and stuff like that. So let me know in the comments what are some features that you might like to see in the next update. Drop some of those ideas in the comments, and let's try to see if we can get them over to the team, the developer, and see if we can get these implemented into the next update, because I know that they are listening, they are working hard to get you guys these features and these experiences that you need, the tools that you need to have a better workflow in this app. So it's November 1st, right? And I'm thinking about doing a thing, and I think I want you guys to join me on doing it. So I think I want to make a new beat every day in the month of November. So yeah, I think I want you guys to try to join this challenge with. Yeah, I want to challenge myself to make a new beat every day, a fresh new beat starting today, November 1st. I'm recording this yesterday, but you'll be seeing it today. Sorry, today, November 1st. If you want to follow me on that journey, on that challenge, go ahead and follow me on Instagram at BrandonRico, and I'll probably be posting that, posting some of my beats that I make every day on there. Yeah, if you guys want to join me in this challenge and see how creative you can get without making the same beat over and over again, I think it can challenge me as a producer, as a musician, as a creative person as well, and give me something to, you know, set a goal, something to look forward to for this month, as well as, you know, killing two birds with one stone, to continue building my catalog of music so that, you know, when the opportunity comes, then I'll have a set catalog. I'll have, you know, material ready for whatever or whoever needs it. I don't know if I'm gonna call it November, New Beat November, or what. I don't know. I'll update the hashtag in the description once I figure it out, or maybe you guys can let me know. Let's vote on it. Let's figure it out. What should we call it? New Beat November, November Beats, or whatever. I don't know. Yeah, let's talk about it in the comments. Yeah, so a new beat every day in November. Yeah. So if you guys want to join me in doing that, yeah, that would be really dope. Just post your beats and then put the hashtag, whatever we come up with. I'll update it in the description. Tag me in it, add the hashtag, and let's just share these vibes for the month of November. I'm looking forward to seeing what I come up with during this challenge, and I'm looking forward to hearing what you guys come up with every day, coming up with new beats. Let's inspire each other. Let's inspire the world. And if I can create like this, you know for sure you can create like this. So thanks for rocking with me. Thanks for rocking with the channel. I hope some of this information was helpful to you. If it was, go ahead and hit that like button. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. I'll be here every week giving you that good vibe, that good energy, and giving you tips and tricks on how to improve your workflow. This has been BrandonRico. I'm signing out. Peace out, y'all. See y'all next week. Wait. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram so you can see my progress or how I'm doing making beats every day, and hold me accountable. If I don't make a beat, then get on my head about it. See y'all.